Hi there, this is Ronnie coming at you with a video. Board games, card games, dice games, anything other than RPGs. How's that been going the last 6 months? Not very well. Let's be honest, board games and card games and so on really require other people. Far more physically than even RPGs. RPGs you can get away with either an online dice roller thing or just, truth and honesty amongst your players when they roll the dice off camera. But you really rather need those things when you're playing board and dice and card games. So I haven't been doing an awful lot of that in that respect. However, I've done I got a couple of purchases in it ready for when we come out of lockdown. But I do have, what I have been doing is I played a game with my friend David. We were on Tabletop Simulator playing Tiny Epic Galaxies. Which was very good actually on Tabletop Simulator. I'm not the biggest fan of TTS, I must admit. I find it very fiddly. But I knew the game, and it turned out to be a decent way to run Tiny Epic Galaxies. Not brilliant, but not bad. I have Tabletop Simulator, and one of the things I have been doing over the last few months, I had some of these already, but over the last couple of months I have added to my digital board games through Steam. And I'll give you the full list of what I've got. I have Lords of Waterdeep. I don't, just to say, I do not have any of the expansions or anything these things. These are just the basics. So I've got Lords of Waterdeep. I've got the Epic card game. More about that in a second. Love Letter, which I bought during the lockdown. Pandemic, which I bought during the lockdown. Splendor, which I bought during the lockdown. Star Realms, obviously Tabletop Simulator. Ticket to Ride, and Tokaido, which I bought during the lockdown. I haven't played all of them fully yet. I've still to sit down and have a full game of Tokaido. Although it's gorgeous. The way they've got it done is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love playing Lords of Waterdeep. Love Letter is a lot of fun actually. Love Letter, the digital version's a lot of fun. I play all these 2-player, but I've got a feeling that would probably work well if I did a whole sort of 3 or 4 player game. Pandemic I've not played fully yet. That's quite involved. Splendor is a lot of fun. That's a good game. I love Star Realms. If I play any of these more than any other, it's Star Realms, with Ticket to Ride coming a very close second, but Star Realms gets a lot of love from me. I do enjoy playing it, and as I say, Ticket to Ride's a very, very sort of close second. Epic, I am torn about Epic. Years and years ago, many years ago, actually long after all my friends were into Magic, I got a Magic starter set. This was late 90s, that had a couple of starter decks and a video of how to play. Incredibly cheesy and stupid video, but it was a lot of fun, and it taught you the basics of the game as it was at that time. And I enjoyed playing it, and I had a fair few of the decks that you could buy. They were fairly cheap, and you know, I didn't buy expansion, I just bought decks. And I introduced the game to my daughter, who was 4, 5, 6 at the time. And the two of us used to play, and it was our thing. And then I for reasons I won't go into here, I sort of lost contact with her for a while, and my heart wasn't in playing Magic anymore. And I got out of it, and eventually I sold off. I mean, I sold off a whole load, and then I sold off the rest a few years later, because I just my heart wasn't in it. We're back in contact now, and our relationship is as good as it's ever been. And by that time, I really wasn't playing CCGs at all. I was playing other card games, more self-contained, more interesting to me. Suddenly, Magic couldn't hold a candle to something like Star Realms, or couldn't hold a candle to something like Citadels, or even something simple like Sushi Go. And I was visiting her, and we were in a local shop, and it had some games there, and it had the Epic card game. And because I played Star Realms and Hero Realms, I knew of White Wizard stuff, and I'd heard about Epic, and I'd heard about the fact that it was kind of it was Magic but turned up to 11. So I got it, and the two of us sat down and we played it. We played it a couple of times. You had to sit there with the rules, because it was similar enough to Magic that I understood the principles of things, but they used different words. You know, there's a version of trample, there's a version of haste in the game. So we played it, and that was fine. But we didn't play it properly. I realise now, and this is where my problem is. We had played it pretty much as you play Magic. One person's turn, they grab a card, they play some cards, they'll attack, the other person is then defending, they either stop all the attack or they don't, their creatures will die, and any excess damage goes to that player. And then all that's done, and you say you're done, and then the other player takes their turn, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until the game's over. And within that, it seemed a perfectly enjoyable little game. Nothing brilliant, but enjoyable enough. Then, I mean, I bought my own deck, the base deck, just to have. And I was watching a tutorial video on YouTube, because I was going to bring it into Settlers to play Johnny, who's one of the staff there. He's a big Magic player, and he really loves Epic, so I thought, I'll come in and play. And I thought, right, I'd given that he's a big player and everything, I'll bone up on the rules. And I watched the official rules video explanation for Epic. And my head just went, what? It's just this, you can attack, and then your opponent says, are you done? And if you're not done, your opponent can attack, and then you say, are you done? And then the opponent says, no, so you can go again. And it's just, it's this, it seemed to overcomplicate what was, to me, a fairly simple back and forth kind of game. To the point where, as written, I don't want to play Epic. And because of that, I'm not playing the digital version. Now, I'm not too bothered about it in so much as I didn't pay for it. And I don't mean I got it hooky, it's actually free on Steam just to get the basic game. You pay if you want any extras. But the basic game is free. But it kind of put me off. So going forward, I'm not sure if I want to even keep the deck, the Epic deck that I've got. But we'll see. Maybe I need to sit down with Johnny, because he might be able to sort of lift the fog on it, because it, as explained in the YouTube video, it made no sense. It just seemed overly complex. And I'm someone, as I say, that plays a lot of heavy board games and so on, and I'm sitting there going, what? So, yeah. The other thing I've been doing, as people who've been watching this channel may know, is I've been doing some board game reviews. And board game reviews, I've tried to put them into sections. Some of them tentatively, but sections nonetheless, for reviewing. Rather than doing them one at a time, I think some of the bigger games will have to be individual, simply because they take an age to set up. This is the thing that's kind of slowing those videos down a bit, is I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting to games that take an age to set up, and I want to do them properly. So guys might have to wait a while for some of the biggies. I know at least one viewer who's looking forward to my views on the Game of Thrones board game. But I'm kind of torn between wanting to do a sort of big review of that, and it would be a big review, regardless of whether I put it in with others. It's still going to be about 15-20 minutes for me to go through it all. And whether I put it in with a couple of other similar games. Although it's Game of Thrones is a strange one, because it's there's essentially two kinds of those kind of military conquest games. There are the ones that fully emphasize warfare, your sort of risk variants, kind of board war games. Politics plays sort of secondary to it, but it's there, absolutely embedded. And I've often said that I've kind of viewed Game of Thrones board game as a sort of slight variant on risk. But there are other games that, whilst it is about taking territory and conquest, and there is a sort of military combat aspect to it, it's as much interest in trade and politics and so on. And Game of Thrones is kind of straddling the two. Ultimately, it's going to have to go into one or the other. And it's kind of looking like it will get nudged into the politics one. But I've got a few. I will be doing soon. I will be doing a video on games to play rather than Monopoly, because I don't actually. Well, I say that I've said in a previous video I don't actually own a version of Monopoly. The only version of Monopoly I had was the Game of Thrones Monopoly, which I gave to my daughter. But that's not strictly true. I do have Monopoly Deal, the card game, which has been done in a review. But I do have a version of Monopoly. It's called Christmasopoly. It's a festive edition. And I will not be putting that in the review, not because I don't want to review it, but because I'm going to review that when I review all my Christmas games. Which I will do more nearer the festive season. Similarly, the reason I said this before, the reason I didn't do the Buffy game in amongst my sort of TV and film tie-ins is because I want to keep that for Halloween and have that reviewed at Halloween, which I may do some of that review at Settlers. That might be one where I film that over a few weeks in so that people are actually film it either before or during play, which I think could be good. Other ones, all my deck builders I think are due to get done. For no other reason, I want to put Brass Empire on table. I want to put Thou Sucketh and do a review of that. And Design City, Design Town, which I do have. Which is a strange mix of deck builder and push your luck. And I want to do one on dice games as well. I've already done 32 dice in my games to play rather than chess or drafts. But I have other dice games as well, and it gives me an excuse to put Can't Stop on table and talk about that. So those will be upcoming. They've been a bit lacking of late, partially because they do take it that some of the games will take an age to set up before I even begin filming them. So there's that. And then sort of recent events and have been a bit sort of draining to me, and the heat has been draining to me. I don't do well in the heat, so I've been tired an awful lot, which has sort of zapped my energy a bit. But hopefully things will cool down a little, and I'll get a bit more energized, and I can do some of these games, because I do want to do a few more of them. And show off a bit more of these games that I have. Particularly, I want to do a section on my worker placement games. Although I've got a feeling that might run to multiple videos, because I've got a few, and literally, it's a reason to get Archon, Glory and Machination on table. Under the headline of games that should get more love. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this has rambled on a bit, but I thought it was necessary. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video.